Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining for the first time, we appreciate your time as always. Listen folks, the video I'm about to show you today, it's a classic geopolitical disengagement and hypocrisy in terms of the strategic coordination where African countries find themselves in these murky waters of global collaboration. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the great South African leader, former South African president, Mr. Nelson Mandela once said, "Your enemy cannot be our enemy." He used that statement. It goes alongside the continent of Africa for a number of particular partnerships that African countries find themselves.
I was just wondering, are these your models of leaders of human rights? And if so, would you want a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies.
Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the current hypocritical engagement that the country of the United States of America is showcasing towards the country of Kenya is a classic reason why Mr. Nelson Mandela once said this particular statement that I just said. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because at the moment, we've seen the United States of America's ambassador, acting ambassador, currently in the country of Kenya, talking about engaging the country of Kenya in a number of areas. Again, we've seen Chinese are also engaging the country of Kenya. More importantly, we've seen other bills at the United States of America's own Congress. A congressman is particularly pushing for investigation in a number of areas in Kenya. Of course, Kenya just have its own challenges. I'm not here to judge on the internal issues. I only look at geostrategic collaborations here between the continent of Africa and its geopolitical partners in the global north. Listen, folks, this is what Mr. Ruto said when he went to the country of China, because at the moment, like I've always said, the United States of America's own principal engagement in the continent of Africa is only when China and Russia are moving really fast, then they feel necessary to engage. When these two countries are not moving closer to the continent of Africa, the United States of America is sitting behind. So this is a classic example. First, let's listen to what the ambassador, the acting ambassador, says in the country of Kenya, and then we will come back to what Mr. Ruto said in the country of China. Thanks to the Kenyan television NTV, let's play this clip.
Kenya, as you know, sir, remains central to our U.S.-Africa policy. When we do something in Africa, we do it in Kenya first. And there's a reason for that. It's because of our shared interests and alignment on governance, on rule of law, and democracy. I think this delegation represents the breadth and depth of the people-to-people partnership as well as the subnational partnership. I was actually just in your hometown in Eldoret on Friday and had a fantastic conversation with His Excellency the Governor about his recent trip to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and what they see going forward, exciting opportunities with their sister city partnership. So the embassy will always stand ready to support states and cities, et cetera, who come to visit us, because our interest is really shared prosperity for Kenyans and Americans alike. I think this visit in particular is really exciting because there are so many common priorities. When we look at Kenya, its leadership in AI, in green energy, in agriculture, California's interest in smart agriculture, energy generation. I hear they do some tech. Just a little bit, and creative economy, which is something we engaged you with, sir, in Atlanta during the state visit. Was very exciting.
That's correct.
And the embassy continues to lead on those efforts in encouraging U.S. investment, together with young Kenyan innovators, influencers, et cetera. I think that's just a huge opportunity, and job growth, I think, is what's really exciting.
Now, this is what Mr. Ruto said when he went to the country of China. As a result of Chinese investment and coordination, and particularly development in a whole lot of areas in the country of Kenya, it is important for these countries to speak up their mind on how they feel on this unforgiving relationship that they've had with the United States of America and other partners that do not provide them what they are looking at the moment. Let's play this clip.
President William Ruto says Kenya will continue to deepen its ties with China, describing the relationship as being in Kenya's best economic interest.
Earlier in May, Risch had raised concerns about President William Ruto's close ties with Beijing, flagging a statement Ruto made while in Beijing that Kenya and China are co-architects of a new world order. The US senator feels that Kenya's ties with China could hurt American interests. However, President William Ruto says that Kenya's friendship with China remains intact.
They have agreed to a reciprocal arrangement between Kenya and China. They have agreed to remove all the tariffs on our tea, on our coffee, on our avocado, and all other agricultural exports. It's partly why I have a bit of a problem with some of our friends, but it is what I must do for Kenya. You know, it's in the best interest of Kenya that we get into this market.
Some decisions you see nation states making outside there are because that country has weighed the cost-benefit, has done a cost-benefit analysis, and weighed that what you're calling the bad option is actually the best option in the optics and in the eyes of the state.
So the partnership cannot be only when it's winning on one side. It must be that African countries have diversified relationship and partnership for them to survive, for them to navigate these incredible challenges that they are facing at the moment. Like I've said, this graph explains the bottom line. African nations must move swiftly, should not listen to their geopolitical partners, must pay attention on where the benefits are coming from. These are amazing period across the region, because for Kenya to becoming whatever in NATO's kind of thing that was given to them, I find that fancy, because there is just no need for Kenya becoming whatever they were being told at the United States of America to regards to NATO. That makes no sense to me if you look at from the geostrategic point of view. An African country getting some kind of recognition with regards to NATO, I think doesn't sit well in the continent of Africa. Let's play this clip.
President William Ruto says Kenya will continue to deepen its ties with China, describing the relationship as being in Kenya's best economic interest. But that position is drawing sharp criticism from Washington, where a powerful Republican senator, backed by, US President Donald Trump, is now pushing to have Kenya stripped of its major non-NATO ally status. Senator Jim Risch of Idaho wants President Ruto investigated not only for his links with China, but also over the deaths of more than 120 protesters and Kenya's alleged associations with Sudan's Rapid Support Forces and Somalia's Al-Shabaab. NTV's Catherine Omwantho begins our bulletin tonight.
In June 2024, Kenya became the first sub-Saharan African country to be granted major non-NATO ally status under Section 517 of the U.S. Foreign Assistance Act of 1961. But this could change. A Republican Senator, Jim Risch, also the chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is leading efforts to force a full review of Kenya's relationship with Washington, D.C.
So Kenya has become experience in terms of its global engagement at the moment, and beginning to understand that the geostrategic coordination between China and also the United States of America, including the European Union, how it's playing in the Cold War in the continent of Africa. This is a classic example on why African nations must continue to stand up tall and make unpopular choices. Let's play this clip.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is currently in the United States, says that this is an opportunity to hold the Kenya Kwanza administration to account.
I want to appeal to the people of Kenya living here and working here in the United States to take time to lobby their senators and their congressmen so that they can know exactly what is happening in Kenya, so that when this particular motion comes up for discussion, there is support from the senators here in the United States.
The question Senator Jim Risch is asking is if U.S. military aid may have been used to enable these human rights violations. Welcome. The investigations would also look into President William Ruto's links with Sudan's Rapid Support Forces.
And that's why sometimes some people in diplomacy become pariahs. Nobody wants to touch them. For the simple reason, associating with you, they are crimes of association. So Kenya is suffering in part because of that crime of association. You are associating with an individual who the world deems as not a good global citizen.
If the proposals are approved, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be compelled to begin a review and investigations within 90 days and submit a report to Congress within 180 days of the amendments of the U.S. National Defense Authorization Act for 2026. Catherine Omwando, NTV.
Kenya just have its own difficulties at the moment and is going through incredible period in history. But again, for the United States of America, similar thing happened to the country of South Africa when South Africa faced incredible challenges with regards to United States of American senators who came talking about AGOA over and over. Kenya is facing similar situation at the moment. On one hand, you see the ambassador talking there on collaboration partnership. On the other hand, there is a bill at the United States of American own Senate trying to be pushed forward to look at the relationship between the country of Kenya and also the country of Sudan. So these are the milky relationship that African countries must navigate at this critical time in their history to figure out how to be successful. Again, it goes back to what I've been saying. Go back to the African continental free trade, open your borders, work together, build your capacity, and also try to improve and add value on your natural resources, and these global partners will come looking for you guys. It is important then you can be able to have a more win-win partnership and collaboration. But more importantly, with the emerging middle class and a growing population and diverse challenges across the particular healthcare, social issues, African countries must start making choices that sit well with their people. I understand Kenya has its own internal challenges, its own difficulties that it's dealing with at the moment. Like any African country, all these nations have issues that need to be dealt with, whether it's high unemployment rate, economic challenges, infrastructural development, and healthcare issues, and more importantly, economic advancement. All of these are vital. I know Kenya is going through that, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm asking senators from the United States of America, requesting that the former President Joe Biden and the current leader Mr. Donald Trump to take out South Africa from the AGOA, the African Good and Opportunity Act. And again, they were talking to South Africa on the backside. They were putting resolutions on the table. It goes back to the country of Kenya at the moment. On one hand, you see the senators are trying to put a bill on the table to punish the nation in several areas regards to its collaboration with the country of China. More importantly, on one side, you see the ambassador talking in nice language in Kenya. All of these implications goes to where African countries must wake up and sit up at this time. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Smash the like button and have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.